Hi everyone, welcome to Tween Tuesdays. My name is Carrie. I am the Tween Librarian at the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, and today we are going to be doing experiments with Peeps. So for our first one, you are going to need a white plate, some warm water, and a bunch of Peeps. So we are going to arrange them artfully on our plate in kind of whatever pattern you want. I think I am going to make mine a pattern. And if you have multiple colors, that's great. It's good if you have at least more than one color. If you don't have Peeps, you could also do this with M&Ms or Skittles. That could work too. Also, if you have the different shape of Peep, that's going to be totally fine. All right. I think this is good. All right. So kind of have them evenly spaced out as much as you can around your plate. And then we are going to carefully pour the warm water into the center of the plate and see what happens. You want to pour just enough to kind of saturate at least the bottom of all of the Peeps. And what we're going to watch is molecular diffusion. So all of the Peeps are colored with artificial dyes, and those artificial dyes dissolve in water. So that means that the molecules that make up the dye are breaking away from the Peeps and starting to spread out in the water. And that spreading out of the molecules is called diffusion. So the molecules tend to spread from areas where there's lots of that type of molecule to areas where there are fewer of that type of molecule. That's why they are spreading from where the Peeps are to the center of the plate. So it should come out with some kind of beautiful rainbow display like I have going on here. So that is molecular diffusion in action. So you can keep watching this as time goes by to see if anything changes or what happens. All right. So up next, you are going to need 3 jars or glasses, one with water, one with oil, and one with vinegar. And then you're going to need 3 Peeps. And what we are going to be doing is testing the solubility of the Peeps in different solvents. So you can think about solubility as when we dissolve something in water or another liquid. So if a chemical is soluble in water, then the chemical will dissolve when you add it to water, like sugar. If something is insoluble or not soluble, then it won't dissolve, and you'll see it floating around the bottom of the container, like something like if you added oil to water. So make predictions about what you think will happen, and this is something you can observe over the course of a few days and see how your Peeps react in these different solvents. Make some observations and predictions and see what happens. I already see some changes occurring in terms of the color of the water and vinegar already. But after a few days, you'll see even more changes happening. All right. So that is solubility. Next, we are going to make a parachute. But first, I want to ask you a question and have you make a prediction about whether or not heavier objects fall faster. What do you think? So I'm going to use a 2-inch piece of cardboard, and I also have a 2-inch square of paper. So obviously the cardboard is heavier than the paper. I'm going to drop them from the same height. I'm going to show you when they land, so you're going to have to trust me, but I am going to drop them from the same exact height. So make a prediction. What do you think is going to fall faster? So they actually, I know it's kind of hard to see, but they landed at the exact same time, and that is because gravity accelerates all objects at the same rate regardless of their mass or composition. So let's do that again with our same materials, but this time I'm going to fold my paper to make it smaller. So the cardboard, still heavier than paper, but now we've changed the shape of the paper. So now what do you think is going to happen? Make a prediction. Which is going to fall faster? Paper or cardboard? And I'm again dropping them from the same height. And that time, the paper fell faster. And that's because the cardboard had a larger surface area, so it had more air resistance, and then that means it fell at a slower rate. Now, again, same materials. I'm going to unfold the paper. So now it's this size. Cardboard's the same. Now predict, what do you think is going to happen? And again, I'm going to drop them from the same height. And that one, you could totally see that the cardboard fell a lot faster. So when I unfolded the paper, it had a larger surface area. So the air around us is all made of small particles. And when I unfolded the paper, it had to push more air out of the way, creating drag. And that's how parachutes work. So parachutes have a larger surface area when they're open, at least, which creates lots of drag and slows down the fall. So let's build a parachute for our peep. So we are going to need one peep. I've got mine ready. Then we're going to need a 12-inch square of tissue paper, or you could use a plastic bag, like a grocery bag. We're going to need yarn or string, scissors, a ruler, and some tape. So first, we're going to cut our tissue paper into a 12-inch square. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's just a little bit big on this side, so I'm going to just trim off about an inch over here. And once you have a square, go ahead and add tape to each corner. So we're going to reinforce the corners so that when we tie our yarn there, it won't rip out of the corners. So do that in all four corners. And then next you're going to use your scissors, or if you have a hole punch, that'd be great, to cut a hole in each corner, like on top of the tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of fold it right where the tape is and cut a slit, and then just cut another slit the other way, just big enough so I can get my yarn through. And I'm going to do that in all four corners. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right, now let's take our yarn. We are going to cut 4 12-inch strips. So one trick, you could just wrap it around 4 times and then cut at the ends, and should have 4 strips somewhere. I missed one. Okay. One more. All right, so now we're going to tie each strip to each corner. You can just do like a single knot in there, and then do that again. At every corner. And one more. All right, and then with a little bit more yarn or string, you're gonna tie a little, I don't know, scarf, belt, whatever you want to call it, right around the peep. And then you're gonna attach each string to kind of like 4 corners of the peep so that your string is like evenly attached all the way around your peep. So I've got one ready to go already. And let's test it out. See if we can give this peep a soft landing. Landed on my stool. It worked perfectly. So you can make a lot of changes. You can adjust the length of the string. You can add more string, take away a string. You can use different materials for your parachute, like a plastic grocery bag, like we said in the beginning, maybe other types of fabric. You could cut a hole in the center of your parachute and see if that changes things. You can make it into a contest with your siblings and maybe time your peeps, drop them from the same height and see who can fall the slowest. So yeah, have fun with it. Enjoy seeing air resistance in action. All right, we have one more experiment left. I have a feeling this is going to be the favorite. This was my favorite to do in practice. We are going to make Peeps slime, and technically it's edible because it's just made of Peeps and cornstarch and oil, but I don't think it's going to taste that great, but it won't hurt you. So for this experiment, you are going to need a microwavable bowl, 5 Peeps of the same color, a tablespoon, and we are going to need vegetable oil and cornstarch. So first we are going to start by place your 5 Peeps in a microwavable safe bowl. Then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And just pour that right in there on top of your Peeps. We're going to microwave this for 30 seconds. And while I'm doing that, I'm also on my way back, I'm going to wash my tablespoon because we're going to use that same measurement for the cornstarch. So 30 seconds in the microwave. Make sure your tablespoon is clean and dry. And we'll be ready to add the cornstarch. They should have turned into a beautiful gelatinous blob like mine. That means it's working. Okay, so we are going to add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch at a time and then mix well after each addition. And we're going to end up using between about 3 and 4 tablespoons. But you can kind of choose your desired consistency. But let's just start with 1 and then use a spatula to mix that in. All right, so once that's kind of mixed in there, let's add another one. Mix again. Kind of starting to come together a little bit. I'm going to add my third. For me, I think my first experiment, about 3.5 was kind of my sweet spot. But it just depends on how sticky or slimy you want it. I think I'm gonna do, one more. I'm gonna do half, just so I don't add too much. So I'm gonna do about 3.5 so far, because I think it's starting to come together pretty good. All right, so now that it's not too sticky, you can kind of knead it with your hands. Maybe another half. So now I'm right about 4. And I still have quite a bit left in my bowl. All right, coming together. Just gotta kind of soak up all this extra cornstarch. And you can add up to 5, so I could add a little bit more, but I don't want to make it too firm. All right, so it's definitely sticky, nice and stretchy. And if you had a ton of Peeps, you could turn this into like rainbow unicorn slime if you wanted to kind of mix all the different colors together. But this slime will get hard as it dries. So it is kind of a one-time use, just for today, which I think is for the best, really. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the texture of mine. So just continue to work with it and just add a little bit of cornstarch at a time to get it how you want it. Like if it's a little sticky still, just add a little bit more cornstarch and you'll be all set. All right, so please be sure to tag us at AHML if you take pictures of any of these experiments. And next week we'll be back in the kitchen making tasty snacks and wraps. So please join us for that. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.